what a pathetic, puny, weak piece of filth that you are.
This is the case of Karina Vetrano. Karina Vetrano was killed on August 2nd, 2016 in her hometown of Howard Beach, New York. This is her story. This was Karina's own representation of psychological and spiritual conflict that she faced every day.
This is a demonstration of how beauty can be wasted by a girl with a fascination with innocence, yet runs towards predicaments to put herself in. This is the dissonance of my existence. I'm an angel full of purity. I'm an angel yearning for maturity. I'm an angel whose wings are so wide, ready to take flight. I am an angel with a dark side. I'm an angel whose smile is genuine. I am the sinner whose wild, feminine aura draws her closer to provocative situations. I am an angel who's a victim of your unreasonable expectations. I am the sinner who meditates manipulations. I am an angel whose love is dedicated. I am a girl who is in dire need of love. I am a woman who's afraid to give herself up. I am a child who just wants goodness. I am a female who doesn't know what to do with all the power that I possess because I've been so blessed with a power that I am ashamed to claim through my body, through my mind, through my name.
Karina created this 3 years before her death. The meaning of this quote by humanitarian August Wilson is a self-exploration into oneself. It represents the very core that each of us fight on a daily basis. When we have dark inside of us, we have to let the light shine the way because we know right from wrong. We forever tangle inside of ourselves with good versus evil, and it's often difficult to resolve when you're kind of stuck in the middle and you don't know which way to go. So what Wilson is saying is that it's essential to have willpower, courage, and an integral moral compass when you're trying to overcome the darkest urges and impulses that we live every day. Unfortunately, the man that killed her definitely did not share the same moral compass, and his desire to kill was far more sinister than most of us would ever comprehend or even try to understand. Karina Ann Vetrano was born on July 12, 1986 in Queens, New York. She was born in a town called Howard Beach. Now, you might remember me talking about Howard Beach because it's home to a lot of mafia moguls. Howard Beach is about 30 minutes outside of Manhattan, generally a really safe place for locals. It's a small town in Queens, population of 29,203. Offers residents a very urban feel, not so much city-like, but yet you're still so close to Manhattan. Public schools in Howard Beach are actually above average, and Howard Beach is actually safer than 95% of the cities in all of New York State. Karina's parents were both working parents. Her mom, Kathy Vetrano, was a kindergarten teacher. Her dad, Philip, was a firefighter. Karina attended high school in Queens, New York at the Archbishop High School. Now, Karina wasn't just your average student, though. She excelled in everything she did. She graduated with honors and received a full scholarship to St. John's University, where she graduated with a master's in speech pathology. After she graduated St. John's, Karina decided to work with autistic children as a speech pathologist. In her free time, she actually wrote screenplays. She was very dedicated and loved to work out. She was 4'11", and she always wanted to make sure that her small physique was always in tip-top shape. Karina also loved to travel. She loved social media. She describes herself on social media as being a daydreamer and a thrill seeker. Karina was loved by her friends, and she would absolutely light up a room with her smile. She was respected by her peers and adored by anyone that knew her. She was smart. She was loving. She really had a good life ahead of her. In the late afternoon of August 2nd, 2016, Karina, who was just 30 years old, went for a jog as she did every other day in Howard Beach's Spring Creek Park. Now, the park is less than a block away from her house. Her dad usually joins her, but he had just had back surgery, so he told her that he wasn't going to be able to go. He begged her not to go for fear something was going to happen. And she gave those famous last words of, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm going to be fine." Those were the last words that he ever heard from his daughter. Now, in this video, you can see Karina jogging just around 5 p.m. It was taken by surveillance on somebody's house. This was the last time anyone has seen her alive.
Karina, who went for a run alone in Spring Creek Park. Later that night, Phil Vetrano found his 30-year-old daughter's abused and bloodied body in the weeds. 4.5 months later, the massive police presence here is gone, but the Vetranos refuse to let the trail run completely cold.
The picture following is the last picture that she took, that her sister took of her, right before she left that day to go jogging. Karina's jogs usually last about 45 minutes. When she didn't return, her father went out into panic mode. He contacted the local police, and as you just heard from the video, he went out looking for her. After about 4 hours of frantically searching, her father discovered her bruised, raped, and beaten 30-year-old body right along the path in which she jogged. Karina's pants had been pulled down to her ankles. Her entire body was filled with bruises and scratches. She had a fractured skull, a broken front tooth, and severely swollen neck. The autopsy that was performed the next day clearly showed that Karina had died of asphyxiation due to strangulation. Detectives said that Karina had been struck in the back of the head with a rock. Her hands still in the grass that she clenched while she was being dragged off the trail. Karina wasn't a lifeless victim, though. She had fought back with everything she had until her final breath. We know this because the autopsy shows that the amount of foreign DNA Karina had under her nails. Karina was 4'11" and weighed 106 pounds. Yet she had DNA on her knuckles, fingers, arms, forearms. This really shows how hard she fought for her life. Now, detectives conclude that Karina was struck in the back of the head. Unfortunately, though, the DNA matched nobody in the database. They took over 600 DNA samples. They examined them over the course of the investigation, and not one was a match. It took the police 6 months of searching dead-end leads to finally find Chanel Lewis. Now, the story of how they found him was because he was walking around aimlessly and he looked suspicious. On February 15th of 2017, Chanel Lewis willingly gave a DNA sample at his home. The DNA came back as an identical match to the victim and was arrested on the 17th, taken to Rikers Island max security prison in Ossining, New York. He was booked on first-degree murder. This wasn't open and shut, though. Many conspiracy theories arose. One of them was that Karina's own father killed her, as well as he must have framed the suspect. So why would the father be blamed? Many felt it was this interview that you're about to watch that seemed highly suspicious. Now, in my opinion, the reason the father was able to find her quickly, which 4 hours really isn't quickly, is because she was killed on the path that they go jogging in every day.
A feeling came over me, and I called her on the phone. I called her once, I called her twice, I called her 3 times. I just got up and got out of there.
The first responders also said that when they walked over to the father, they found Philip in a state of shock, holding his daughter. It took 4 hours, and he finally found her. No matter what the situation, though, you're always going to find some conspiracy theory that's going to cause trouble. Not surprisingly, another conspiracy theory that popped up was that the mother must be guilty because she shows a lack of emotion. Now, in my opinion, just my opinion, it's kind of obvious the mother is high as a kite on something. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way. If my daughter was murdered and my husband found him, or the father found him, or I found her, I would be devastated, and I would probably do street drugs. So it is the way it is.
Didn't expect, didn't know when it was going to happen. It just happened very quickly. And can't really even respond to how we feel. We don't know yet. But the police did an excellent job. They solved this through good old hard police investigative work.
We love our daughter so very, very deeply. Our sorrow is so endlessly painful.
It's very common, though, of parents of murdered children to get some help from psychiatrists that is going to supply them with drugs to help them with the pain and their loss. So here's his confession. And I'll be honest, I was a little reluctant when I first heard the confession. And I thought, this kind of sounds coerced. Things don't exactly match up right. So
Okay, we're present in the 107th Police Precinct. The date is Sunday, February 5th, 2017, and the time is about 10:33 a.m. My name is Peter McCormick. I'm an assistant DA in and for the County of Queens. Present in the room with me at this time are Detective Barry Burrell, ADA Michael Curtis, Video Technician Joseph Deal, and Chanel Lewis. Okay, Chanel, I'm about to be reading you your rights. After that, if you agree to speak with me, you may, if you wish, make a statement about and answer questions about an incident that occurred on August 2nd, 2016. Even though I've already spoken to someone else, you do not have to talk to us. I'm going to now read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you do say may be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to consult with an attorney before speaking to me or to the police, and to have an attorney present during any questioning now or in the future. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you without cost. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you do not have an attorney available, you have the right to remain silent until you have had an opportunity to consult with one. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now that I've advised you of your rights, are you willing to answer questions?
Okay.
Yes? Okay. All right. All right. Chanel, why don't we start with, I think it was a Tuesday evening on August 2nd, 2016. Do you remember that date, that evening?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And where were you at that time?
I was in Gateway and Spring Creek Mall.
Okay, by Gateway and Spring Creek Mall?
Spring Creek Park.
Park?
Yeah.
All right. Were you inside the park?
Yeah.
Okay. And was anyone with you, or were you by yourself?
By myself.
All right. About what time did you get to the park?
About 5 o'clock.
All right. And how did you enter the park? From what street?
From, you know, where, Bell Parkway.
From where the Bell Parkway entrance is to the park? All right. And what kind of park is this? What does it look like inside? Are the trees, grass, benches? What?
More like large grass.
High grass? Are there any trails in the park?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And were you on a trail or were you in the grass?
On a trail.
Okay. What kind of trail is it? Paved or dirt or what?
It's kind of like dirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. About what time would you say you got to the park that night? That evening?
About 5.
Okay. What was the weather like? Was it rainy, cloudy, sunny?
Well, it looked like it rained like in the morning, and then it got sunny in the evening.
Okay. And while you were in the park, do you remember what you were wearing that day?
It was a hoodie, a sweatpants, and shoes.
Okay. What color was the hoodie? Do you remember?
Most likely brown.
Mm-hmm. And the sweatpants?
I think it's probably black.
Right. And the shoes, were they shoes or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Okay. Do you remember what color they were, what kind? Okay. Now, while you were in the park, did something happen?
Yes.
What happened while you were in the park?
In the park, there was this girl jogging, and then you know, one thing led to another because some other situation.
All right. Well, the girl that was jogging, was she by herself or with anybody else?
By herself.
What did she look like? What was she wearing?
Well, I was going to say she looked like she was wearing a yellow tank top, maybe.
Okay. What kind of pants?
I wouldn't really know.
Were they long or short? Do you remember?
No.
Do you remember if they were long pants or short pants? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And was she jogging? Was she coming from the same direction that you came from when you entered the park?
No, we go opposite directions.
Okay. And when you first saw her, where were you? Were you in the grass or were you on the trail?
On the trail.
Right. And were you moving or were you standing still?
Like I was moving, listening to music,
You were walking or jogging?
walking.
Walking? And you were walking towards her?
I was walking towards and then got side to side and then one thing led to another.
When you first saw her, though, were you walking towards her or in the same direction as her? When you first saw her?
We walked towards each other.
Towards each other, okay. And she was jogging, you said?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you know if she had anything on her head or in her hands? Do you remember as she was approaching you?
She might have had a phone.
Okay. And where was her phone? Was it in her hand or was it clipped to her clothes? Do you remember?
It was in her hand.
Okay. And you said as she got next to you, when she got next to you as she was running and you were walking, what happened then?
And then, you know, for the past situation, I got angry and then started hitting her and stuff like that.
Okay. Before you did, where did you hit her?
Like in the face and like in the mouth.
In the face and the mouth. Before you hit her, did you grab her or did you just hit her right away?
Like kind of grabbed her first.
Grabbed her? And like, how did you grab her? What part of her body did you grab?
Like I started hitting her because of the incident that was going on earlier.
Right, but did you grab her before you started hitting her, or was the first thing you did was to hit her? What was the first thing you did?
I grabbed her.
Okay. And how did you grab her?
Like this.
Okay. With both hands?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what part of her body did you grab? Do you remember? Her shoulders, her waist, her neck? Do you remember?
Probably like around here.
Okay, around the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grabbed her, what happened then?
And then I started hitting her and stuff like that.
All right. Now, did you hit her with both hands?
Probably, yeah.
All right. And what part of her body did you hit with your hands?
I didn't hit any part of her body.
Her face?
Just the face.
Just the face? All right. About how many times did you hit her in the face?
Around 5.
All right. Was she standing when you started to hit her, or was she on the ground?
She was on the ground.
Okay. So when did she fall to the ground? After you grabbed her? All right. Now, when she fell to the ground, was she lying in the path or was she off the path? The pathway. When she fell to the ground and you were hitting her, was she on the pathway or was she off the pathway?
On the pathway.
All right. About how wide is this path, would you say? Like,
About a couple of feet.
okay. So it's not that wide, right? And when you were hitting her in the face, was she face up or face down?
She was like face up.
Face up. Did she say anything at all? No. Did she scream?
No, because her tooth broke.
I'm sorry? Her tooth broke? Right. Were you covering her mouth at all? No? Okay. The tooth that broke, was it like in the front, the top, or the bottom? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. How long would you say you were hitting her for? About how long in time? I mean,
The whole thing was like about 5 minutes.
5 minutes, all right. And did you do anything else to her besides hit her? Did you put her hands on any other part of her body?
No.
Around her neck or anything?
Yeah, there was
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
You put her hands on her neck, around her neck? Okay. Do you remember, was it one hand or both hands?
Both.
Both? All right. And how long did you have your hands around her neck?
No.
Okay. Did you squeeze her neck when you had your hands around her neck?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You don't remember for how long though? Okay.
Because I was mad at the accident.
You were mad about an incident. Okay, we're going to get to that in a little bit, alright? I just want to find out what happened, alright? And was she still moving when you had your hands around her neck?
Well, yeah, and then she dropped into the water.
Okay. Well, when you had your hands around the neck, was she on the ground or standing up?
She fell on the ground.
On the ground. Face up or face down?
Face up.
Alright. And then, how did her face go in the water?
I was strangling her near the water, and then put her face in the ground.
Okay. You were
So
strangling
she
her,
fell
you
in the
said?
water.
And you put her...
No, she fell in the water,
Okay.
and then my hand was bleeding, so I went to wash off all the blood.
Okay. Which hand, do you remember? You just showed me your right hand, right? Your right hand. Where was it bleeding? What part of the hand? Your knuckle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when her face went in the water, was she face up or face down?
Down.
Down?
Or face up.
Face up?
Yes.
All right. Was the water covering her face?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you hold her under the water?
Actually, I didn't hold on to the water. When I came back, she was just...
Oh, you didn't hold her under the water? Okay. Was she moving when you put her face in the water?
I don't know why she was not moving.
Okay. What do you remember? Was she still moving when you had your hands around her neck? At all?
Mm-hmm.
How was she moving? What was she doing?
Like, she wasn't really moving that much.
Okay. Did she try to hit you or touch your body at all during this time? Okay. What did she do?
Like, try to scratch me.
Okay. And did she scratch you? Where did she scratch you?
On my face.
Okay. Would that be on the right side of your face?
Probably one of these two, though.
Okay. Did she leave a mark or a scratch on your face?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So at some point before she went into the water, she had stopped moving. Is that right?
Hmm?
She stopped moving before her face went into the water, correct? All right. Did I'm sorry.
I kind of did it.
Kinda did. All right. What could you tell if she was breathing or not?
What you said? Repeat the last question.
Could you tell if she was breathing?
No, the other one.
Oh, before that? I said, oh, at some point before she went into the water, she stopped moving, and you said kind of, right?
This is like after the water.
Well, that's when you put her in the water, was she still moving then?
In the water, she fell in the
She
water.
fell. Was she moving then?
After that, she wasn't moving.
Okay.
Did she fall in the water when you first threw her to the ground, or when you're on the ground with her hitting her? Did she like kind of move towards the water?
It was more like a strangulation, and then she flew into the water.
So it was after you had your hands on her neck that she went in the water. All right. And what did you do then? After that?
After that, she was just lying there, and then I got her by her ankles and then picked her up by from her back and put her in the bushes.
Okay. Like, can you just describe to me like how you moved her? What part of the body were you holding when you moved her?
Like on the hands.
Okay.
And up her back.
Were your hands holding her arms, or were your hands under her arms, or
Like holding it.
your hands were holding one hand on each one of her hands?
Like how you just put somebody there.
You were dragging her by the hands or the arms, right?
Yeah.
And when you dragged her, was she facing down onto the ground or facing up to the sky?
Up to the sky.
Facing up, okay. And where did you drag her to?
It was somewhere off the pathway.
Off the pathway?
Mm-hmm.
What's on the side of the pathway? Bushes, trees, grass?
Like some really rough kind of trees. I mean, some really rough, it's called weed and leaves.
Weed and leaves? Okay. About how high would you say it was? Was it high or?
Like about 8 feet, something like that.
Like higher than your head when you're standing?
Yeah.
All right. How far off the path would you say you dragged her into the grass? Like how many feet about?
Probably about 10.
Okay. After you dragged her in the grass, did you go back onto the path? When you got back onto the path, could you see her from where you were, from the path?
Mm-hmm.
I think you said, Chanel, that she had a phone with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened to her phone?
She must have lost it and all that.
Did you ever grab her phone? Yeah?
I might have touched it.
Okay. If you touched it, do you know where? Did you put it somewhere or?
No.
No? Okay, do you remember when you touched it?
No, I was doing a scuffle.
Okay. All right.
Did you touch anything else that she might have had with her?
I wouldn't know.
When you left her in the grass, were her clothes still on?
No.
What was the status of her clothing? How was her clothing
Kind of
arranged?
like pulled off.
Pulled off?
Yeah.
Okay, what was pulled off?
Like her clothes.
Her shirt, her pants?
Her pants.
What about her shirt?
Sure, I think it was still intact.
Still?
Maybe.
Okay. And when you say her pants were pulled off, were they totally off, or were they half on or half off? What were they?
Looked like kind of half off.
Okay. Were they down or up? I mean, her pants.
Kind of like down.
Okay. What about her underwear?
Maybe it was down too.
Okay. Did you touch her in any way in her vagina or her anus at all?
Mm-mm.
Not at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Now, you said that you did this because you had some anger, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can you tell me about that anger?
Because, I used to live in a different address than I currently live right now.
Right.
And then sometimes there's this man that comes around there. He play like loud music and carry a lot of friends around there. I didn't like it because I feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And I like my place private and peaceful. And usually I just...
Okay.
Sometimes.
What place was this that you used to live in? A different place? What place was
It
this?
was the same neighborhood but a different street. It was at Logan Street.
The neighborhood where you live now?
Yeah.
Okay, and where do you live now?
Well, now it's Essex Street.
What's the address?
576 Essex Street.
And is that a big house, a little house? Or?
It's kind of like a 3-story.
Okay. What floor do you live on?
We live in the basement.
Okay. Who's we? Who do you live with?
My mom, my sisters.
How many sisters?
2.
2? Okay, what are their names?
Flip and Sweeter.
Okay. Are they older than you or younger than you?
Older.
Older, okay. How long, and the place you said you lived before that, you said it was Logan Street? That's near Essex Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And there was someone there who got you angry? Do you remember who that was? Do you remember who that was?
Well, no, I wouldn't really want to say his name.
Okay.
Is your brother? Do you have any brothers?
Yeah, I have a brother, but he don't live with us no more.
Is he older or younger than you?
Older.
Where does he live now?
He lives somewhere in Flatbush.
How old is he?
About 27, 20, around that area.
What's his name?
Shawan.
Shaman? Do you see him a lot?
Yeah, he comes around the house once.
Does he know this person that you have an issue with?
Yeah.
Did that particular person, you don't have to tell us who he is, but did he make you angry that day on August 2nd, that Tuesday?
Yeah, because like every day he keep playing music and inviting his friends, and then we just live in a quiet block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like all of these type of stuff.
Okay, about what time was that? What time was that he was playing the music and got you annoyed and got you angry?
Pretty much all day.
All right. Well, and what time, when did you leave your house to go to that park that day?
Probably left about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
In the afternoon, early afternoon?
Yeah.
And how far is your house to that? It's called Spring Creek Park, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
How far is your house from that park?
It's probably like a couple of blocks.
All right. And how did you get to the park?
Usually I just go to the industrial place and then go to the mall and then go across the bridge.
Okay. Did you walk? Did you ride a bike or?
Walk.
Okay. Was anybody with you? Did you tell anybody that you were going to the park before you went? Okay. And you entered the park through what entrance way did you get into the park? What street is that?
Parkway.
By the Bell Parkway entrance? All right. And how far into the park did you walk when you first saw the girl?
I walked to one trail and then went to the next trail.
Okay. So how far would you say in distance you had walked when you ran into her?
What do you mean?
Well, at some point while you were inside the park, you were listening to music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And were you listening to music through headphones or the radio, or how were you listening to music?
My phone.
Your phone? All right. And at some point while you're walking, listening to music, you see the girl jogging towards you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how far had you walked, like from the point you entered till you saw her coming? Halfway through, more than halfway through, or?
It's kind of like one trail and then you go to the next trail.
Okay, so you took one trail to the next trail. All right. And from the time you first grabbed the girl until the time you dragged her into the grass and left her there, about how long you think that took? You know, when you punched her and strangled her, how long would you say it lasted?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. Now, had you ever gone to that park, like before this date? Would you go there on occasion, or?
Yeah, sometimes when I get angry and stuff like that.
How many times would you say you've been there before, to that park?
Like several times.
More than 3, 4 times?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you always go into the park by that trail?
Yeah.
All right. And would you always walk, or there were other ways to get there?
I always walk.
Would you walk the same route?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I choose a different route.
Okay. Did you ever go there with someone else, with friends or anything?
No.
No? Okay. Did you ever, while you were in that area, did you ever once get spoken to by police in the area, like before this happened?
I got stopped once by the police.
Yeah. How long before this was that?
Probably a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm. A couple months before the August 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I know, Chanel, I know that, like last night, you really didn't want to talk about this, right? Last night. But today, it was okay, you wanted to talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that you told Detective Brown you wanted to straighten your life out, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then Detective Brown said to wait until you came in the room to talk about it, that's right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know that, I think Detective Brown showed you this map before when he spoke to you, right? Remember this map? Okay. Can you show me on the map, like what point, like that you actually entered into the park? This little dot there? Okay, thanks. And is that the same way you went out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you went out, were you walking or running? Do you remember?
Walking.
Walking, okay. And where did you go after you left the park?
Pretty much my hand was really hurting me, so I went home.
Okay. Was it like bleeding heavily, or was it just like a scratch, or do you remember?
Like, we were sweating a little bit, so
Sweating and bleeding,
pain a little bit, so yeah.
hurting, right? And you said you had some scratches on your face, right?
Alright.
Where did you go after you left the park? Did you go out somewhere? Did you go home?
Went home.
Okay. Was anyone home when you got there?
Mm-hmm. I got my own keys, so I just...
Did anyone see you that evening?
Yeah, some people, they were asleep.
Hmm?
They were kind of, yeah, they see me.
Okay. Did they ask you what happened to your face? Did they notice they had a scratch on your face? Anybody?
Not really, but then, you know, it's just like...
What did you say about that?
I said I fell.
Okay. Did you say where?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say?
I said Gateway Mall Park.
Okay. Can you just tell us what this girl looked like? Was she a black girl, Chinese girl, Spanish girl, white girl? Do you remember?
She looked white.
Okay. About how big was she?
About 5'4", 5'3", I guess.
Heavy, slim, medium?
Kind of medium.
Okay.
Had you ever seen her before?
No.
Did you ever go back to that same park, Spring Creek Park, after August 2nd, after this date?
Mm-hmm.
Never?
Chanel, after her face is in the water and you pick her up and you drag her into the weeds, does she move at all at that point or make any more noises?
Mm-hmm.
No? At what point did she stop moving and making any sounds?
Just when she was under the water.
Under the water?
Mm-hmm.
Like as she was under the water or right before you put her in?
Like she was under the water.
Were you holding her under the water?
At that point, no. I was too busy cleaning off the blood from her hand.
Okay. Was she still moving while you were strangling her around the neck?
And she was moving like quite a long bit, yeah.
Is that when she scratched your face?
No, it was when she didn't.
When you were hitting her, she scratched your face?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you were hitting her, were you standing over her or were you like sitting on her chest or how were you positioned when you were hitting her?
Like I was on top.
But were you standing on top or were your knees on the ground? Were you like, were you low or were you standing up on your feet?
Like it was kind of like between, like in the middle. Between the middle of standing and crouching. So
Crouching like a catcher in baseball, or with your knees on the ground?
more like a one with a baseball.
Like a catcher in baseball? Did you ever hit it with anything, or did you hit it with your hands?
Just the hands.
Okay. Oh, and all the punches were to her face, right?
And you said it was with both your hands?
Mm-hmm.
You only got the injury to the one hand?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you use that hand more?
Yeah, it's more like it on that hand, yeah.
Or you're righty?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice whether she suffered any injuries as a result of the punches?
Just a broken tooth.
That's it? Do you remember, could you see if she was bleeding or not, or black,
Never
swollen?
checked.
You didn't check? Okay.
Did she say anything to you? Was she able to, other than maybe if she screamed, was she able to communicate at all? Say any words, any sentences? Did you say anything to her while it's happening? And you were angry because of what happened in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Were you angry about what happened in Howard Beach?
No.
Did you have any friends or people you knew who lived in the neighborhood by Howard Beach? Okay. Okay, the time is... I'm sorry.
He's talking about what you was talking about? With him? Let's see what?
What?
So call again. Let's spell what? You said it.
I said, did you have any friends in the area? You said no,
I
right?
whispered to me. It was something you said.
If you're feeling that way, fear no more. So, the assistant director of the OCME Department of Forensic Biology, Linda Rosano, she was the prosecution's final witness. She actually described the most compelling evidence against Lewis. The astronomically long odds that the DNA found in Vetrano's neck and cell phone matched anyone other than Lewis. The defense disputes the DNA profile and the manner by which examiners compiled the evidence. Rosano said analysis used the DNA samples to build a profile of male donor A that is expected to be found in greater than 6.8 trillion people. Leventhal pointed out at Lewis and said that he was that one person. DNA found under 2 of Vetrano's fingernails was a less certain match. Rosano said that the DNA found under one nail is approximately 376 billion times more likely to come from Lewis than any other unknown related person. The DNA found under the other nail is approximately 29.2 billion times more likely to come from Lewis than someone else. So the phone also included a search history. This is his phone, of over 130 searches, including Wikipedia page for the Catholic Sacrament of Penance, and terms such as Miranda warning, arraignment, and what happens after a felony conviction. 6 months after the murder, police found Lewis's cell phone in his bedroom. It contained 2 pictures of Vetrano and a photo of the crime scene taken from online news articles. Karina's first trial took place and it ended in a hung jury.
Breaking news tonight, parents stone-faced and in shock. A mistrial in a murder case that captured the city's attention. The jury deadlocked on the man accused of beating, strangling, and killing a Queens jogger 2 years ago. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Christine Johnson. Jurors were unable to reach a verdict after 2 weeks of gruesome evidence and graphic testimony.
They had heard from the victim's father, who relived the moment he found his daughter dead. CBS 2's Jessica Layton live now outside the courthouse in Kew Gardens, Queens tonight. Jessica.
Maurice and Christine, this ruling just about an hour and a half ago seemed to catch everybody off guard. When the judge said the words hung jury and mistrial, the entire courtroom fell silent. Not only silent, but everybody just seemed to kind of freeze in place in disbelief. After the words started to sink in after a couple of seconds, then came the whispers, things like, "I can't believe this. Is he serious? Oh my gosh." But the jury only deliberated for a day and a half. The stunned parents of Karina Vetrano walked out of the courtroom, followed by relatives, some of them crying, after hearing the judge declare a mistrial by reason of hung jury in a case that made headlines across the country. The jury deciding the fate of Channel Lewis on the murder charge deliberated a day and a half before saying they were hopelessly deadlocked. The 22-year-old was accused of strangling and beating the young woman while she was out for a run near her home in Howard Beach, Queens in August 2016. Her father, Phil Vetrano, found her body. During the trial, the state presented evidence linking Lewis to DNA found on the victim's cell phone, fingernails, and neck. In fact, it was that testimony from the DNA expert that the jury asked to listen to again today. Prosecutors also presented a confession from the East New York man. Then, just after 9 o'clock tonight, the jury sent the judge a note saying it was unable to make progress and had exhausted all thoughts and opinions.
His retrial began on the...
Her family was devastated. On March 18th of 2019, his retrial started. It lasted just under 2 weeks. Chanel Lewis was sentenced to life without parole. He is currently serving his life sentence at the Attica Correctional Facility in upstate New York.
Courtroom in Queens, the jury working late into this night and coming back with a verdict. Cheers erupted from the family and friends of Karina Vetrano, guilty on all counts, with the man on trial for murdering the young jogger.
The verdict's announced just about 90 minutes ago. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang live at the courthouse with reaction from Vetrano's family. Lucy?
Well, Sade and Bill, it was a night of high drama and tensions released as those guilty verdicts came pouring in for the Vetrano family, who waited 3 agonizing years to hear those words. They basically erupted into a standing ovation. The 4-man reading loud and clear that they believe 22-year-old Channel Lewis murdered and sexually abused 30-year-old Karina Vetrano, whose only crime was going for a jog. Her parents leaving court tonight feeling like their prayers have finally been answered.
Say it again. Thank you, Jesus. Sir, your thoughts?
Jubilation. Justice.
It was a hot August day in Howard Beach. Karina Vetrano went out for a run, but never came home. They eventually found her battered body deep in the park. It took 3 years and 2 trials to reach this moment of justice. The first trial ended in a hung jury in November. This time, prosecutors packed their case with forensic evidence and emotions as both parents testified about having their beloved daughter returned to them in a casket.
This is what she looked like. An hour before the defendant got his hands on her. And this is what she looked like after.
It brought at least one juror to tears. 5 hours later, guilty on all counts. Now going forward, sentencing is scheduled for April 17th. Channel Lewis could face life in prison without parole.
Judge, Your Honor, I want to thank you for giving my family and myself the opportunity to speak in your house. First, I would like to speak to you man to man, from the heart of a father of 2 girls to the heart of the father of 2 girls. You can only begin to imagine the pain, the anguish of finding your baby brutally beaten, her neck swollen and bruised, knowing she was dead, unable to help her, to save her, to protect her, as any father would instinctively want to do. That monster killed 4 people the night of August 2nd, 2016. One of us is in heaven, but the other 3 walk the earth as zombies, just waiting to die to be with Karina again. There are no more Merry Christmases, no more Happy New Years, no more happy birthdays. There is no more pleasure in life, no more smiles, no more happiness. Those are all taken by that convicted, murdering rapist. My heart was ripped out of me that night, and it created a void that will never heal. Only my faith in God and my belief in heaven keeps me from killing myself for fear of not being allowed into heaven to see my baby again. Now, I would speak to you as a victim to a Supreme Court justice. Whatever happens here today, whatever sentence you impose, there will be no true justice. The light of my life was brutally beaten and murdered by that animal. True justice will be served only when he is dead and he meets the Lord our God. He, and only he, can impose true justice upon that murderer, and he will feel the wrath of God and burn in eternal hell. That convicted, murdering rapist deserves to spend the rest of his life locked away from society. He's a serial killer in the making. If he wasn't caught, I know he would have killed again and again. He's proven that. As an angry, violent boy, he told the teacher he wanted to bring a knife to school and kill all the girls. As an angry, violent man, he made good on that threat the night he killed the brightest light in the world, my baby girl, Karina.
While my sister was dying, being murdered, I was giving my 3-month-old baby a bath. I did not know that those were the last moments of lightness and peace I would know. I did not know that all innocence would be lost that August night. To state how the brutal murder of my sister Karina has impacted my life is nearly impossible. Every day is filled with loss and yearning. I yearn to be a child again, to have Karina crawl in my bed on Christmas mornings while our parents were still asleep. I yearn for my child to know his Aunt Riri, for her to teach him to love fiercely and live fearlessly in pure lightness that was her, that is her. Chanel Lewis killed my beautiful, innocent, insightful, gentle sister. My sister that always put her pajamas on inside out and backwards. Whose feet, if it weren't for her giant big toe, were the size of a doll's. Her hands, her tiny hands, left grasping for weeds in attempt to save her life. My sister is dead, a thought I cannot grasp. Even after enduring countless court dates, 2 trials, heinous accusations against my family, and a circus of a defense, I cannot accept that my baby sister is dead.
I want to show you. These are the shoes. These are Karina's shoes. These are the shoes that she put on the morning of August 2nd as she prepared to work and wore throughout the workday. As tiny as they are, Your Honor, these are the shoes of a giant, a valiant warrior, and a queen. Chanel Lewis, I have no doubt at all that you are fully and completely capable to comprehend everything that I am about to say to you. That the vacant expression you show is merely a reflection of your detached and empty soul. You've proven over and over again you are a very clever and capable man, Chanel Lewis. Contacting and complaining to news reporters, boasting about your front page notoriety, your phone searches, especially those made after you voluntarily submitted your DNA, are particularly revealing of your resourcefulness, knowing your secret would soon be exposed. As an alleged God-fearing man, I will remind you that the very second you laid your loathsome hand upon a child of God, my daughter, my innocent daughter, you rejected the Holy Spirit and carried out the work of Satan. The angels wept and the devils danced with delight as you proceeded to torture and impose the most brutal and merciless slaying of my beautiful baby. While we suffered and died 1,000,000 deaths every second of every day, you breathed, you ate, you searched your phone for pornography and forcible rape. You are, and you remain true to your character as a pathetic, evil coward. After racking my frazzled brain for countless days in effort to verbalize the devastation created by the monster, the convicted sexual abuser and murderer, Chanel Lewis, I've concluded it is impossible for mere words to qualify the depth and vastness of these tribulations. So to summarize, but not minimize, I must first acknowledge that the true victim here is my innocent daughter, Karina, who brutally suffered her last moments on earth in battle with this evil, angry, and perverted man, Chanel Lewis. It was Karina who was ambushed, alone and helpless. It was Karina who was terrorized, beaten, battered, strangled, desecrated, and killed. Yet, I assert that in the early evening hours of August 2nd, 2016, Chanel Lewis slaughtered me as well. Imagining her deep, precious eyes that reflected her most radiant, emphatic soul, filled with pain and terror, gasping and struggling, looking into the empty, merciless eyes of this angry, enraged stranger provokes a level of excruciating pain and fury that I never before could have conceived. My grief counselors have told me that grief includes losing a part of oneself. But Your Honor, I've lost all of myself. I only see glimpses of the woman I once was when I'm with my grandson, who is the only person in my life that is still innocent and unaware of the abomination we exist with. Among her multitudes of attributes, Karina was born and gifted with extraordinary intellect and profound wisdom. I've chosen to share a portion of one of Karina's writings that I feel will demonstrate but a morsel of the character of my magnificent child. I am in a state of, this is Karina's words, I am in a state of awe of all the majesties that life has to offer. And it only occurs when I'm with nature. These little microscopic things that I let bother me, parking tickets, an unanswered text, some girl who I don't even like doesn't like me. But why? The guy who didn't put his blinker on. I let these things consume me. It is all these pathetic pieces of everyday life that give me so much grief. And then I put my running sneakers on. I plug my headphones into my ears. I hit the pavement, and it all goes on mute. I don't think I need to point out the heart-shattering irony here, Your Honor. But rather, I choose to receive this as Karina's validation to us that while the demon, the predator, Chanel Lewis, attacked, tortured, and murdered her, Karina was in a state of grace and prayer. She was worshiping her Heavenly Father. And with that, I believe she ascended directly to God's kingdom, where she now sits, holding his righteous right hand. I implore you to impose the most severe sentence allowed by law. He has shown absolutely no remorse as he sat before this court and heard and allowed his attorney to insinuate to the jury, that my husband, the beloved father, best friend and hero of his victim, held responsibility for the savagery that he himself imposed. If he was ever released from incarceration, he would be in the care of those who do not even acknowledge his crimes or recognize his propensity to violence. Had his previous threats to harm women been recognized and addressed, my daughter, my beautiful, precious daughter, Karina Vetrano, would still be alive. Thank you, Your Honor.
Attica is the hardest prison in New York State. He was 23 years old when he got sentenced. He's got a lot of years in Attica.
With all my heart, every fiber of my being, that God, who is at this very moment embracing Karina Vetrano, I believe this, who is providing solace and comfort, not only to the family, but to the community who's suffering your crime. That same God is ready, willing, and anxious to forgive you for this crime. one person and one person can make that happen, Mr. Lewis, and that's you. Your protestations of being innocent, that was not designed for me. It was designed for your followers, I'm sure. But in the not too distant future, you're going to wake up and you're going to find that a lot of these followers have moved on to another cause, another case, and you're going to be by yourself, very, very lonely. And I suggest to you at that point, you put into practice the penance that you researched after you brutally and savagely molested and murdered this young girl. That's my advice to you. But I will say one thing. When you do, and if you do, come to that decision, you're going to do it inside a cage.